What's up, everybody? I'm popping in to make a quick video. Something I've it's something that caught my eye. I've been following this YouTuber Sydney Watson. Amazing channel. Highly recommend you guys check her content out on YouTube. And I came across this video. They're making dating impossible, and uh, 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 you guys gotta check out some of these contents uh, where they where they're putting to light the just utter disruption to the dating market, especially when it comes to guys trying to get out there and date. And not the same like it's all women's fault, but it's definitely like the vast majority, because they uprooted the whole social construct, especially after the Me Too movement, where it just like guys just it gotten so bad where you got a bunch of entitled women. They're either crazy, some of them, not all, but it's just you telling guys one thing, they acquiesce, but then you want to switch up, and it's like guys are just reached a point where they're fed up, and now they just want to like, okay, I'm just doing my own thing because I tried doing it your way. You still not getting any kind of any chance at sex, let alone a date, or even you get a date, you get these crazy icks, or you got these high standards that you pretty much devolve into just using a guy's naivete in order to get certain resources off the poor guy, whether it's like food or using his body for labor, like something needs to be fixed in your house, so you need to come get picked up or something like that. Just exploitative stuff where you don't think this shouldn't be any reciprocity on your end. And it's just like I know there's terrible guys out there in the world. That's why guys keep warning you not to mess with those guys, but you end up messing with those guys, so it falls on deaf ears. But guys just nowadays, for especially young men, they just want to find a nice, pleasant girl that isn't gonna film them or thinking they're creepy, or when it comes to filming, they're just filming because we've all been on bad dates before, but it doesn't help when you try to film them to try to embarrass them for clout, or just so it could be part of your little stories, just to get a bunch of strangers to like clap for you or simp for you or whatever, just to gas your own head up. That's not something guys want to partake in, and it's the onus is on mostly the women, mostly. And they tend to get crazier and crazier. You think this is like you don't think there's no correlation in why guys tend to go with young women, because the likelihood of them acting like most other girls is very low, because they have been tainted by their scandalous little friends, or and on social media being influenced to do girl bossing, or acting like a 304, or just doing all this stuff that isn't congruent to what you want in the long run, which is a marriage and family, which time and time again you end up going down that route. When you're young, you say like you want to do all these kind of things. You can do it with your a boyfriend or a husband just the same, but then you wasted all that time, and then when you reach like 32, then all of a sudden like you want to switch up, and it's like, well, you should have thought of that from the jump. but you thought you're gonna be young forever, and you think you can do all this kind of stuff, and thinking like, oh, I can do what guys do, which you can't, all throughout my 20s, and still expect, you know, Chris Hemsworth type of dude to come pick me up at the at my 30s after I have my fun, and I can just, you know, pretty much treat it like my gold watch at the end of it, and it doesn't work that way. So anyway, I wanted to check out this video that making dating impossible.
Saying nose ring theory are literally doing the opposite of what you think they are. I want to look this way. I want you to be able to look at me and see that I am a safe space and that I don't tolerate bullshit. I want you to look at me and know Donald Trump, men, honestly.
Well, this is deeply unpleasant. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. And just a quick note before we do the video. On my tea website, Lions Tea Exchange, I am running a Black Friday / Cyber Monday sale of up to 50% off site-wide. Yes, everything on sale, including my wooden gift boxes. No code needed. The discounts are automatically applied at checkout. I will link everything in the description box. Now, I have not dipped my little toesy woesies into the dating discussion for quite a while.
I don't know what it is, but Aussie people have been getting on like a come up, and I think it's mostly because of the Hemsworth family and Margot Robbie, because they've been like, you know, doing that thing through the course of the years, and all of a sudden, man, like the Australian like people are just like on a freaking tear, man. It's just because she is. I like her accent, and I just like the way she's, you know, thinks, and she's very pleasant. Very, very nice woman.
Namely because every time I do, it brings really strange people out of the woodwork. We respect and like both men and women on this channel, friends. We just don't particularly like buttholes and insane people, okay? This is not a space to just aggressively hate on either sex for no reason, so mind your P's and Q's, or I'll find you and snap your little fingers. I wish that was more satisfying. That was not worth it. I love that we're starting this video with me threatening all of you like some sort of mafia boss. You know what, rather than snapping your fingers, perhaps I'll just send you all fish in the mail.
It's like when the mafia send each other fish through the post.
Anyway, one of my dear darling friends sent me this video to laugh at, but rather than finding it very funny, it just made me incredibly sad for everybody still in the dating world.
I'm sure you've probably seen that person that does like messages their Tinder matches first with like the most diabolical, just random shit. I do this too. It's one of my favorite hobbies. So every week I'm going to be making one of these episodes and showing you the things I've said to potential mates.
I won't lie, and maybe I'm alone in this, I think it's a little weird to go out of your way to traumatize men on the internet for views. The lads are simply trying to find someone to love as well. But more importantly, who is intentionally matching with this person on dating apps? Do you have some sort of humiliation fetish? What is going on here?
Here's one of my first ones from this week. You ever ate a hot dog backwards? I feel like this is a great way to open a conversation. Because, like, there's no wrong answer, you know? Now, this one, I think is fucking hilarious. Do you think bugs would choose to work a 9 to 5 if they had better health insurance? God knows I would. I'm not really sure what the theme is with the hot dogs today.
Do you think leftists tried not to be funny on purpose, or do you think it just happens that way? So because I hate myself, I went and looked up this girl's TikTok. She calls herself Bunny, with an I. All of this is checking out so far. It feels exclusively like this account was made for me to hate watch. Anyway, after scrolling her weird videos, I found that about a month after the clip I showed you, she was banned from Tinder. Yeah, maybe it was asking men weird questions about hot dogs. Just a thought. You see, I got permabanned on the dating app Bumble for impersonating myself. You got banned because you drew anorexic caterpillars on your face. Anyway, apparently women like our friend Bunny here are making dating a lot harder than it needs to be. And during my travels of the internet, I came to find out that this is apparently more of a feature of modern dating, not a bug. And because of women who look and act this way, it's given rise to the term septum ring theory, or nose ring theory. So because my birth year starts with a 1-9, I had absolutely no idea what this meant and had to look it up. And apparently it refers to women who have a septum piercing, or I guess nose piercings in general, being mentally unwell and psychotic.
Alright kids, I just woke up and I saw this comment and was like, what does this mean? So I did my little research on the internet, the TikTok search bar, and it turns out that I'm fucking crazy. I mean, he ain't wrong. I'm in therapy, I'm medicated, I'm bi, whatever.
At least they're admitting to it. I don't know what to do with this.
The MAGAs just started calling this like, oh, nose ring theory. Every woman with a nose ring is apparently crazy. Essentially, what this so-called theory states is that women with septum rings make their trauma, their whole personality, they're unhinged, crazy, and basically it's just a way to discredit, denounce, and degrade women.
Your comments saying,
I mean, if you look it up, there's pattern recognition, and it's like you're kind of proving the point. Matter of fact, there's like a decent list of women on social media with nose rings, and they tend to be unhinged. This girl talking about like, yeah, sure, like I'm in therapy, I'm bi. This is like, A, why do you even care? And B, it's just like, don't you think that that'd be a good time for a self-reflection? And matter of fact, this gets my gall personally. If you're going to therapy, and this is a thing with therapy altogether, it has nothing to do with this specifically, but it's just that if you're going to therapy, the goal of therapy is getting like the tools you need in order to better your mental health and having the tools to navigate life. It's not there to be like a flex, like, you know, like you're collecting baseball cards or something, like oh, I got this type of, you just go in there just to talk. I mean, like, yeah, sure, that's partially what is there for, but that's all you getting out of it is just to say, the vent, like of course a lot of these are women, of course they feel better when they vent, but it's just like, but what are you getting out of this? What are the tools you're using in order to navigate life? You got probably crappy therapists if you just there. That's why if you go into, my personal take, if you go into a therapist, go to a male therapist, because guys in general are logic based, and they tend to like to fix stuff, so they tend to give you tools to be able to fix your life. I doubt most of these women have male therapists because they go to female therapists. Not to say it's wrong, you can choose whatever therapist you want to, but my theory is they go into these, female therapists just to talk and, just have a good cry and everything like that. But those therapists, whether male or woman, should be giving these people tools they need to navigate their day-to-day lives so they can be less unhinged as possible. Clearly, therapy, as much as been pushed in the past several years, are not making society any better. Because clearly they not, doing what is intended to do.
nose ring theory are literally doing the opposite of what you think they are.
It's a
I
trend
want to look this way.
at a
I want you
point.
to be able to look at me and see that
Not
I am a
something
safe
to
space
actually
and that I
be
don't
used to
tolerate
help you.
bullshit. I want you to look at me and know, Donald Trump, man, honestly, what's going on in the world right now?
I watched like 20 of these videos of women with septum bars and nose piercings angrily disagreeing with these comments being left on their videos, but without fail, every single one of them was a leftist, because stereotypes do actually exist for a reason. It actually annoys me a lot because when I was an emo teenager, everybody cool had a septum piercing and all of us wanted one because they were a real sign of being in the alt community, like the actual alt community, not whatever it is today, whatever the kids are doing today. Now, the only people who look like this are people who have daddy issues so hard they think the government should parent them.
I think it's absolutely hilarious that Trumpers are just now.
No, man. Oh, God, man. Because I was born in 88. I grew up liking goth people and emo people because it seemed like fun and alternative. And the look and the aesthetic, it was like pretty dang cool. And of course, they're the ones who started like dyeing their hair, like this pink with the matching with their black clothes and all this other stuff. They do all the the piercings is meant for like alternative lifestyle, true alternative lifestyle. But then you got these super leftists kind of hijacking all that stuff. Now I can't look at a freaking rainbow now without cringing. I can't look at somebody with the nose piercing without cringing. I can't look at anybody with like different colored hair without cringing, because now it's a negative connotation to that. You can just guess. You can take a good guess, unless you also are dressed accordingly to be goth or emo. Then you can pretty much guess, oh yeah, they're just like a crazy leftist that makes their Trump their whole entire identity and make it everybody else's problem that they got to conform to whatever thing that they want instead of just acclimating to society as a whole, because we're a melting pot. We ain't gotta cow down to wherever you want to view, like you want to refer to yourself as they, them. That's your business, but like the outside world don't have to care to that small portion. These are those people. Sorry, it's just like it's nuts.
Realizing that people who have different views than them have nose rings. Like, yeah, bud. I decided a long time ago I don't want to conform to your beauty standards.
You know, a lot of these people are just extremely alarming human beings. Like the sort of people who you would reject and then they would go to extreme lengths to find you out in the real world and come to your house. And that's actually entirely possible because of how much of your private information is accessible on the internet through data brokers. So if you don't want to be stalked by one of these insane people, check out the sponsor of today's video, Incogni. You never question protecting yourself out in the real world. Now is the time to take your data back with Incogni. Horrible demon creatures are simultaneously quite confused why they're having so much trouble finding a man to date. More specifically of the liberal variety.
This video is for my girlies who are in relationships with liberal men, more specifically people that are just like super down with like human rights, women's rights, don't support genocide, aren't transphobic, aren't homophobic, aren't racist type shit, you know. I'm curious where you found them, and if you think there's any left. Don't get me wrong, super happy that you like got your hands on one. It's kind of giving like ultra rare, like 24 karat gold little boo boo type shit. Like, that's super awesome. Just curious if you think there's any left and where you would direct us single girls to find them.
Honey, they don't exist. They're too busy getting pegged. Jokes aside, there's actually this humorous trend on social media where these women once again are asking not only where the liberal men are, but where are the liberal men who behave like conservative men?
Do you want to know one of the saddest realizations I recently had? Was that as a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative.
Videos like this are so surreal to me, and it's very hard to put into words why, but I'm going to try. I don't think there's anything wrong or weird or strange or inherently leftist about wanting to be treated as an autonomous, independent person. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's quite strange to participate in the same ideology that has browbeaten men for decades, insisted that chivalry and sort of traditional values are a tool of the patriarchy, and then turn around when you're ready and say, no, I want it now. I personally don't think that treating women...
Yeah, I was going to say this. most women don't know what they want. This might seem insensitive, but think about it just for a good minute. Because too often you see women flip-flop for what they want. They end up either, like in this chick, asking where are the liberal men with conservative little traditions and stuff like that, which is like kind of like an oxymoron. Or they date like a handful of dudes, each one doing different things they want that fit in their perfect little man they trying to build a bear with. And it's just like, you're not going to find a perfect man. That's what they're trying to find, like this perfect unicorn of a guy. They don't acknowledge the concept of the possibility that no man on this planet can fulfill all your needs and satisfy them. If you somehow magically do, you'll still find something that's off, that you just cannot compromise on whatsoever. Guys, for the most part, we have a very short list. And as long as you at least hit these 3 markers of being pleasant, submissive, decent looking, you don't need to be like a 10 out of 10. Nobody expects you to. Matter of fact, it's probably like a net negative for most guys. For the long run, in terms of relationship stuff. But yeah, like at least decent looking and loyal. That's another 4 things. Yeah, good looking, pleasant, loyal. It's just very. We don't need you to fit like everything. We don't need you to like the same stuff that we like. We don't need you to necessarily know how to cook. It helps, but I think for the most part, guys will let certain things slide, or they will be willing to teach you. We don't need you to be like this sexpert in the bedroom. We personally like to be able to teach you certain things in the bedroom, rather than you know how to do all these flippy whippy Cirque du Soleil stuff in the bedroom. We don't need that. We're perfectly fine with a few things that you just gotta be able to hit on. Also, don't embarrass the guy. Well, that falls in terms of loyalty, but it's just like very simple stuff that any woman on planet Earth can do, and we willing to compromise on a lot of other stuff. Most women are not willing to compromise. If you say you want a liberal man, you gotta take all that comes with it and be able to be able to live with sacrificing the stuff that innate turns you on, but that liberal guy is not going to be fulfilling that part of that. Similar to how girls who say they like conservative men, you gotta be able to take the good and the bad that comes with it. Yeah, I think when girls goes to like conservative men, they'll probably be a little bit more, are probably the happiest, because they getting the best parts fulfilled and willing to compromise on the other stuff that in the long run they might feel is kind of frivolous. But they tend to be the smarter women, in my opinion. There's no happy unicorn perfect dude. There's no such thing as a perfect person. Guys know there's no perfect woman. I don't understand why most women can't understand there's no perfect guy. Stop trying to have every guy on your roster to fill like every need possible so you can have this happy, content life. Because if those guys know that, because no guys don't like the idea of sharing one woman with 4 other dudes. They were like, no, you're crazy. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with that. That's nasty. And that's when guys go out to date. They want to know that the girl is singly focused on him, and there's no other dude he has to worry about competing with. yeah, like girls don't know what they want. That's why it was the onus is on the family to choose and vet the guys for the girls for eons, because innate we know that, like, you know, girls tend to choose poorly, and they don't think with logic, they think with their feelings. Oh, this guy made me feel some type of way, even though they glossed over the fact that this guy is a complete degenerate. Guys don't necessarily have that problem, vice versa. Sure, he might deal with a woman who might be, you know, crazy, or, you know, a little clingy or whatever. He have, like, you know, reasonable guy friends that can help, you know, navigate that with and stuff. Or he can, like, set the tone of the relationship, or just leave altogether and move on to the next girl. Guys, we tend to do better. Tend to. I don't want to say all the time. But he has the right guys in his corner. He tend to move on better and find the appropriate woman who gets on his page and not the other way around. Let's be honest. Ladies want to get on the guy's page. It's not a turn on for a guy to have to be on the girl's page, because they will tend to take advantage. And then when they come across a guy who sets boundaries and puts her in place, that tends to turn her on. Most women don't like to say that, because that puts them in a particular light they don't find too PC. But let's be honest, that is the case. But long and short of it is, you guys, you know, you got to be able to compromise on certain things. You're not going to find a perfect person.
Particularly with respect and decency and kindness and blah, 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 should be a left-wing or right-wing thing, just like I don't think that treating men with decency and kindness and love should be a particularly left-wing or right-wing thing. However, in the context of men acting this way, it's typically conservative traditional beliefs that underpin this behavior. I'm sorry it's this way. You've told all the liberal men that everything has to be 50-50 and that you want to be fully equal to him and he's going to...
Oh, and that reminds me of a video that it was probably like a year ago it came out, where this woman made this post online as this video where she's like a real leftist person. It was like, she was from San Francisco, I think, and she talked about this recent dating experience. I'm pretty sure you can look it up. This recent dating experience she had with a conservative guy, and he, you know, paid the bill. He did all these very traditional masculine stuff that she grew up, you know, of course, going to college and getting indoctrinated with a bunch of feminist ideologies. And so, completely opposite of what she normally deal with when it turns to liberal men, who unfortunately was fed this nonsense and thought it was the right thing to do, because no one wants to, because keep kowtowing to whatever wind that the women tend to blow towards to based on their feelings. Like, I want a 50-50. I want, you know, somebody to respect my boundaries, and I want to carry my own stuff, and I can hold the door on my own, and, you know, I can do this on my own. I'm an independent woman. And some dudes who, you know, bend the knee to all that crap, they're like, okay, I will treat you like this, because you are independent, strong, capable woman. We can go 50-50, because at the end of the day, they want to find a woman too, and they thought it'd be easier as a strategy. Mostly deep down, it's kind of like a strategy, and they don't want to be labeled as a creep or whatever. They just like, whatever, like, okay, we'll go 50-50 because that's what you told me that you like. And not realizing girls say a lot of things because it sounds good. But real dudes who set a boundary and raise right, and not acquiesce whoever little thing that females tend to let their feelings drive them to. It's like, no, this is what I'm raised on. I was raised on holding a door for a woman. I was raised on carrying the girls' groceries for them, or helping them up the steps with their luggage, or whatever. I was raised to pay the bill on the first date. I was raised to be attentive and like show up on time, not not to deal with BS from anybody, man or woman, and set the tone of like this and then the third. And that is me as a person. I don't need to meet a woman to put me in my masculine energy or anything. This is just me because it's raised on, and that's just pretty much muscle memory right now. You can just deal with it. I'm doing this because that's what a man's supposed to do. That was a turn on for her, and it's just like innate what you like. You are just was told differently because you think like all this feminist propaganda is a scam. I think little by little, year after year, more women are starting to catch on to the fact that feminism for the most part was a complete scam. It might have started off on a good note, like just like give it like the benefit of the doubt. It started off on a good note, like women have some level of independence to be able to choose what to do with their lives and be able to get their own bank accounts and credit cards, blah 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 blah. Sure, it might start off from a good note, then it just kind of spiral into like, I want to be able to do what a man does, and I want to be able to do what men do, and have my cake and eat it too, and still placate to like being like a female and being catered to, but also be able to mess around as much as guys do without worry about blowback, which will ultimately be blowback, because it's just like it's cherry picking, and it's to the detriment to women as a whole. Like it's just like innate what you like, but you listen to bad faith females who want to keep other females single, thinking that you'll find your guy after you went through the working force throughout your 20s and getting used up by bad dudes that is not good for you, instead of going through the proper vetting process with your father or your father figure or your brothers, so you can find an appropriate guy who will do the right thing with you, and you can go through this life together in unison throughout the trials and tribulations. But there's women out there calling those kind of girls who want that pick-me's, but you should take that as a badge of honor, because like, yeah, I get picked because I know I want to have a life. I want to have children. I want to have a family. I don't want the whole 401k and trips to all these 7 different countries so I can have stories for my Instagram posts, so I can flex on other girls that at the long run don't care.
To act that out. He's going to expect you to behave in such a way that demonstrates that. And fair enough, you've told him that's what you want. It's no wonder that fertility rates are falling. Everyone is insane. To be honest with you all as well, I think that the sort of social conditioning that I just described around male-female behavior is probably why a lot of men now actively do not want to approach women, and why women, the normal ones, are finding this very frustrating.
I better pay attention to me tonight. I'm so f***ing sick of this shit.
Oh my god.
Touch a boob, buy a drink. I mean, it's like very f***ing simple.
Tell me why every day I go out looking adorable, tits bouncing, skin glistening, and yet nobody ever hits on me or approaches me. Ever. Oh my god, like, please.
Guys don't approach girls at the bars anymore.
I do.
I don't expect guys to come up to me, but I know the caliber of my friends, and I know what those bitches look like, and they are some stunning. If guys aren't going up to them, guys aren't going up to fucking anyone. So I think if you're going up to girls at the bar in the first place, whether you say hi, whether you say, can I buy you a drink, whether you use Nick's line, which is a great line, by the way.
Thank you.
I think you have a million times better of a shot.
I think it's worth pointing out, because it often gets lost in this conversation, that a lot of the women who are now experiencing men withdrawing from them, young men withdrawing from them, actually had nothing to do with the messaging that caused that reaction in the first place. They were little girls when all of this was being so heavily laid on everybody. And now, unfortunately, they're the ones who are getting kicked in the head by the messaging that generations beforehand had been, forcing onto men.
Yeah. I think the onus is on you ladies to, kick those other ladies in the freaking teeth for putting out that BS. They know it's BS. Because they ain't got nothing to do with us guys. We were chilling in the cut for the longest time. We rarely changed. We liked the dynamic that was always been set there. But all of a sudden, it became like a negative thing. I make my own money. I can pay my own drinks and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, now it's like girls like, why do men approaching us? It's like, because you let these other girls be the loudest voices saying like, I could do bad all by myself, and you should have smacked them on top of the head like Junior from My Wife and Kids. Is like just go inside these other girls' heads. Like, shut up! Like, you're not the voice of me. Like, I want to be hollered at. I like to be approached by a dude at a bar and want him to buy me drinks and compliment me and talk with me. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, I still like that because I got out to look good for these guys. You say you dress for those guys. You put on makeup. You say you dress for yourself or do makeup for yourself, but it's a goddamn lie. You do all this stuff for the male attention. And don't let these other girls, chastise you or make you feel bad for thinking that it is a negative thing because they want to keep you perpetually single. Girls do not like other girls sometimes. And it's become very apparent, in recent years, that it just boggles the mind why you let these other girls who know is not good, who misuse their bodies or, put aside family for the career move. It's like, it's okay for a woman to have a job, sure, but that shouldn't be their main focus. Or at the very least, it should be running parallel with making sure you meeting the appropriate guy who in the long run will take care of you. That way you can scale back when you get a little older and scale back working, because for the most part, the guy will be by and large the one taking care of things. And it's like, you girls gotta tell these other girls, and don't be afraid of being called pick me or whatever. It's like, no, I know what I want. It's you girls who can't admit what you want because you on this little high or something. I'm not sure, but and guys, at least some of those guys gotta stop sipping. You gotta stand on your ground. It's like, innate what you want. You want to approach a girl. Do so. If she turns you down, fine, move on. It's a numbers game. If Jessica ain't trying to give you the time of day, talk with a friend. And the girl try to say something like, you just talk to me. How you gonna talk to me? Well, you turned me down. So why is your problem? You don't clearly want me, so I'm gonna call your friend. Or maybe not even a friend, but just like other girl, you gotta rip that Band-Aid off. The worst you can say is no. I know it's a little anxiety barrier that you try to break through, but you're gonna have to just be like Green Lantern and just use that willpower and break through that fear. You have to do it. Sometimes it helps if you have your boys with you when you go out. They can give you those words of encouragement, so that way you can just, because they can help you push you into that pool, basically. So that tends to help guys, especially if they're pretty much introverts. But you ladies got to talk with amongst yourselves and set the record straight, and stop letting these single, crazy women be your voice, because what they doing is wrong.
I don't know if I articulated that well at all. Hopefully I did. So I really feel for these young women because they had nothing to do with it, and I feel bad for the young men because they've been, once again, browbeaten from the time that they were little to sort of go against innate instincts of, you know, wanting to chase and all these fun things. So it's, I don't know, I think everything's pretty...
Yeah, that's another thing. Stop, you know, you gotta make sure, like, even if the dad is not in the picture, whether he passed away or he left, but more often than not, the man is still around some capacity, and just the woman's too stubborn enough to make sure that father is still in the picture, because the fathers have that strong masculinity to make sure that the boy has the confidence to move about and know how to deal with women. And if he has like a daughter, he can be around to make sure he can vet the guys for her that wants to court her, because she cannot do it herself. You cannot rely on the mom most of the time to deal with those kind of things when those kids get a little older, because she, you know, will go based off her feelings half the time and rarely use logic. Even if the dad is not in the picture for some reason, the woman got to be smart enough to acknowledge, okay, I need a strong masculine presence for these children. Either it's going to be my own father, their grandfather, or a brother, or male cousins, somebody in the family that I trust to handle this stuff, where I know I, in the grand scheme of things, cannot do, because I might put them through certain pitfalls that they, you know, don't need to deal with.
Screwed up. But this video is not about the women who are collateral damage in all of this. This is about the crazy, psychotic women who are canceling dates because a guy said that he's not interested in politics.
I was supposed to go on a date tonight, but I realized I hadn't asked him enough questions, so I called him before. I was like, you mind if we just do a quick little run-through questionnaire? And he's like, yeah. Doesn't care about politics. Doesn't care about politics. So
this guy will probably never realize, but he did in fact dodge a major crazy bullet. I love that you guys don't even have to tell these women that you're right-wing anymore. You can just say, I don't care, and they'll dump you anyway. Once you actually meet men and spend time with them, you realize that they don't really care about too many things anyway. This is not terribly surprising behavior. These women have actually pathologized having normal conversations in an effort to get to know somebody, to ask them questions to see if you're compatible. Because these people do not live on planet Earth with the rest of us, rather than spending the time getting to know somebody as a human being like you normally would, they have instead decided that questions are only for finding out if someone is empathetic and progressive and whatever. Lord help you guys.
That's why I push so hard about making sure that the father figures be the one to choose the young daughter's male dates, because they cannot ask the right questions, or they're not willing. It's like the guy can talk with the boy and see, like, okay, here's the list of pros, here's the list of cons. The pros outweigh the cons, that he could probably give it the go ahead. Or if the cons are so like minuscule, they can either let it slide or just make sure that he works on those kind of things. And even better yet, those father figures spend a little money on a private investigator to make sure that the guy that has interest in the daughter is on the straight and narrow. So that way he can go over that stuff with the daughter, and so that way he can lay out to her so she can feel confident enough to date this guy if he gives the go-ahead. If not, then acquiesce to what the father figure says. Like, if he says, like, no, this guy's a bad influence or whatever, you know, hear it, and it's like, okay, not dating David, you know, or even entertaining David. Lose my number, David. I'm not, you know, dealing with it. That's a no. But if David is, like, you know, reached, like, you know, certain check marks, so what if the guy is conservative or he is a Democrat or whatever? Doesn't really matter all that much to the father figure, as long as he fulfills what ultimately will matter in the long run. And he says, like, okay, so what, David's Republican, or he's a Democrat, or he's an independent. Who cares? He fits all these markers, so you should date him. I highly encourage you to date this guy, because in the long run, he's going to take care of you. So you can have your own little opinions about political stuff, but at the end of the day, doesn't matter. You're going to be on that guy's program anyway. So what if you choose to vote Republican? You can still choose your own vote to vote Democrat if you so choose to. Or, you can listen to your guy and might have certain, talking points that you might happen to agree with. Just depends on the circumstances. But that's why I push so much about the father figures doing the choosing for the girl, because, like, they don't tend to ask the right questions, or they end up overlooking certain bad behavior. Guys don't fall for that crap. That's just my opinion.
Seriously. Imagine having to play progressive 20 questions before you can have the most disappointing sex of your life.
So I have come up with 10 questions that you can ask when you're dating to see if this person actually has empathy and progressive values.
And that's a problem. Most women out here are too busy worrying about empathy and what's kumbaya and what feels good instead of what's practical.
Without being so obvious. Like, they're actually going to have to think about this. So here we go. So the first question is, tell me about a time you changed your mind about something important to you that maybe your friends or your family members didn't agree with.
It's probably pertinent that I tell you that this is the same woman who encouraged her followers to break up with their conservative partners. So do with that what you will. Is that dog fluff? Oh my god. Sydney, oh my god, it's dog fluff. Then there are the women who just patently lose their minds at the very prospect of dating a man with differing political viewpoints.
I cannot believe a man said this to me. Actually, I can. The other day when I posted the video about, wanting a liberal...
Alright. I don't know what it is, but it's something about women with voices like this is kind of grating on the ears. I'm like, oh my god, it just takes me out of it. It's so annoying. That voice, that nasally little, it's like a combination of nasally with arrogance, and somehow it fused together to make this weird synergy of a grating voice. And it's just you just don't want to be in the area. It's just it's like people repel it or something,
guy or whatever. I had this dumbass literally send me a message, and he was like, why does it have to be a liberal man? Why can't it just be a man that treats you good? Sir, because a MAGA man isn't going to treat me good. You know why? Let's just start with first and foremost. You voted against my fucking rights.
Ah, yes. This is a completely normal reaction to someone asking you to be open-minded to a nice man. How dare he? I mean, at this point, I am ready to vote against this woman's rights. Golly. I'm not trying to pick on single mothers, just by the way, because I got love for you ladies, but I knew as soon as I saw this video that this woman is in fact a single mother. Because of the general air of insufferability, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I can definitely tell that this is a difficult person to live with.
I cannot believe a man said this to me.
I don't know, lady. Maybe get your septum pierced. I hear that
this is the type of woman, and I tend to hate to say this, but because it doesn't mean every woman has to go through this, but it's just certain women, and you tend to know what kind of women that I'm talking about. It just, you can just feel the energy, or just the attitude coming from that kind of person. But when you deal with a woman like that, when you deal with a woman like that, whoever was with her should have just put her in her fucking place. It just doesn't go for every woman. It's just certain women, and it's only a small portion, because most women don't behave like this. But there are some women out there in the world that needs to be put in that place. Being told to shut the hell up. To me, it's just like, and even some women can tell what kind of women just need to be told, like, shut the hell up, Brenda. It's like, it's just like, you know, to be told, like, to sit down. You know, and just clearly the guy who she was with couldn't even deal with that woman no more. But he, and this is the fault of most guys, when you enter in a relationship, if you're intending to take a girl seriously in terms of making her your girlfriend, let alone a wife, you have to early on set the tone of what you're willing to, or what you're not willing to put up with. If she behaves on a certain degree, you give her a warning, a couple of warnings. It's like, hey, I ain't dealing with this whole shit testing. Hey, I don't like that attitude. Hey, you're not listening, whatever. It's like, I keep telling you this. If you keep moving like this entire relationship is over. I'm not dealing with that, because we're moving to the beat of my drum. Like, because especially if the guy is moving with motion and he has a purpose, he is not dealing with a woman who's going to tear all that down because she's not acquiescing to him. Because he is naturally the leader. If he's moving correctly, she has to acquiesce to him. And if she's not listening, she has the first few, you know, most guys are very gracious. If she's not moving a particular way and he keeps telling her to do so, it's his job to, like, no, this is my boundary. You keep breaking it, you're out of here. Move on, find another sucker. I'm not putting up with this because I'm on a mission to build an empire, and you are a liability. No guys want liabilities when they're building their kingdom. There is a reason. And it's like the smarter women knows how to move correctly. They don't need to be told shut the hell up. They just know, like, okay, this is my man. I trust him because, you know, my father vetted for me, and so therefore I can trust he can handle things. So I don't need to get my 2 cents in every 2 seconds. This girl probably had to kept browbeating the guy, or keep nitpicking everything, or giving ultimatums, or whatever annoying little tendencies most women tend to do, and that, you know, resulted in possible divorce if she was married. Oh, wrong button.
That this woman is in fact a single mother. Because of the general air of insufferability, you know, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but I can definitely tell that this is a difficult person to live with.
I cannot believe a man said this to me.
I don't know, lady. Maybe get your septum pierced. I hear that that's the entry fee to get the therapy that you so desperately need. So I have been both a woman and right-wing more or less my entire life. You know, sort of like oscillating on the right-wing spectrum. And it's kind of funny because nowadays I find myself to be the most moderate on certain issues than I ever have been previously. Mostly because I think everybody's insane. I am the only sane one. I have built a tower around myself and nobody is allowed to enter.
Yeah, after the whole death of Charlie Kirk, and then some people's reaction, instead of like either not saying anything at all or just paying like some level of respect over that tragedy, and they, you know, most people on the left tends to claim to be Democrats, claim to be on the right side of history, who claim to be progressive, who claim all this kind of stuff, wanted to gloat. And it was so nauseating that, like other, you know, reasonable Democrats, decided like, okay, I'm just going with moderate kind of stuff, because that party has not been a proper representation of what I truly believe in. And I felt the same way. Always grew up voting Democrat, but yeah, that was a turning point for, at least for me. It's like, okay, I'm just doing the whole moderate thing. I just can't deal with the Democrats, and if they moving the way they moving, or listen to certain people they should not be listening to, based on feelings over facts or emotional manipulation, they will not win another election for years to come if they don't make a reasonable shift.
Or disturb my sanity. Anyway, it was always important to me to find somebody who had core values that I shared, because that just generally makes life a lot easier. But I would never reject somebody because they were apolitical, which you guys know is an actual thing here. If a guy is not overtly political, these women just assume that he is a raging right-winger. No, bunny, he just doesn't give a crap about politics. Maybe he's the only sane person in the sane tower with his hobbies and fishing. Actually, I'm just kidding. A dude with a fishing photo, they would 100% think is right-wing. God forbid a man has hobbies.
As a bi woman, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, that is another thing. Because I've seen this before on a whatever podcast when girls talk about how whenever they go on dating apps and see a guy who shows off him, you know, is a fisherman, they find it an ick. And it's like, he likes fishing. It doesn't mean he burning crosses on people's lawns. He likes fishing as a hobby. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and look at a girl who goes out fishing as like a issue. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. She knows how to fish. That is not only a hobby, that is like a useful tool. In terms of if something carries on, he knows how to hunt or handle himself in the wilderness that will be beneficial. But most girls don't look at that way. They just thinking like, based off their emotions and not with logic. Logically, we'll tell them like, oh, this is a useful tool to have in case something happens. He knows how to handle himself. That is a plus, not a negative. Oh, golly. It's like everything's got to be an ick. Oh, he wears a purple tie instead of a black one. Ick. Oh, he eats with he used the wrong eating utensil. Ick. It's like girls don't know what they want. They can't vet properly at all. They can't do it on their own.
With that, if you don't say that you're liberal, if you're a white man, are you trying and you match, and you like my profile, you see that I'm bi on my profile, are you trying to convert me? Are you trying to turn me straight?
Get over yourself. Like, most guys look at girls who are bi as a plus, not a negative. Sure, there might be some religious dudes who are probably against that. You just don't have to date them. There are probably a lot more guys who are more secular who find that out it's a plus. They're like, hey, I'm not too religious, so I can hook up with you and you can bring one of your hot friends. We can have a menage a trois or polyamorous kind of thing, and you can still do your thing with the chick, but now you just got a man in the mix. Because most cases, from what I'm hearing, girls who date other girls, it's like there's always some kind of domestic thing going on. It's probably the highest, not probably, it's definitely recorded highest domestic abuse amongst each other, because there's no masculine energy in that mix to check another person, because it's like that is like the stopgap. When there's a masculine energy in there, because it needs to be in order to check the other woman, because the other woman cannot physically take on a man. So it tends to be like if things need to be halted, it's the guy who puts it to a stop, full stop, and they'd be the one that gets the last word in. But you being bi, it's a plus, as long as you're not crazy about it or making your entire identity.
what's going on here? What's going on here? Are you liberal but just didn't write it? What's going on?
I'm sorry, this one was a uniquely painful watch. Delivering to camera in one fell swoop where you just speak words and they make sense and they sound nice is actually quite hard, but if you can't get it correct, why are you still putting it on the internet? Like, why are you exposing people to this? Maybe we should have just left this one in the drafts. So if you are wondering why this is happening, why dating is so hard, and honestly this is all pretty self-evident, like I said, there's a massive divide happening between men and women. With women obviously getting much more progressive and them also determining that political affiliation is one of the most important factors when it comes to choosing a partner. And these women want you to know that they hate Trump. They want you to know that they have more extreme political opinions in the leftward direction, and they're very upset that they can't signal these things on dating apps appropriately.
What are we doing? Leftists on dating apps, what are we picking? Because I already started the discourse on Twitter, but I want to know your opinion. Are we picking liberal? Or are we picking non-political other? Like, they don't have an option for us. Please let me know. What is worse of two options? Worse or...
Oh my god, the bird hands. Oh my god. You know, I don't know if I did the video on this or not. I have to look it up because I don't think I did. Like, I watched Whole Math, and he was talking about girls who do bird hands. It's like a weird epidemic with that. I'll look it up. If I didn't do it, I'll make a video about it and react to it, because it was like, I cannot unsee it, and I don't want to make. I want to make sure you guys not unsee it too. If you see a girl doing bird hands, run. Don't walk, run. Count that. Guys don't get many icks, if any, but that is one of those things that became an ick that I cannot unsee, because that is like a very condescending body language. And clearly, it's signifying like self-entitlement and stuff like that. You do not want to deal with a girl with that, doing peck. It's like pecking at you. That's why it's called bird hands. He's pecking at you. It's a very condescending body language. Like, oh God, it's like I cannot unsee it every time I see it. Ugh.
Worser. Because I'm having a hard time dissecting if these people are actually leftists, liberals, non-political. Like, we really need a leftist option.
I find this really interesting, though, on a statistical level, and this has been demonstrated over and over and over again. Between progressive women and conservative/right-wing women, us righties are much less worried about finding somebody who aligns with us 100% politically. But unsurprising to none of you, the leftist progressive women are incredibly concerned with it. I found one completely insane survey that, if I'm reading this correctly, determined that very liberal women would prefer to date an ex-felon over someone with a differing political view.
I'm gonna pause this and let you guys really get a good look at this. If there is a willingness to date people with opposing political views, ex-felons, and flat earthers by strength of ideological self-identification. Okay. Yeah, the moderate and somewhat conservatives are probably the most reasonable people out there right now as it stands. With like the very conservative bringing up the third, someone liberal is the fourth, and very liberal is dead last.
This is actually so funny because I found this TikTok which basically says he might be evil but at least he's liberal, and I was like, I don't even know where I'm going to use this in this video, but it fits perfectly here, so here you go. What the because of course you've decided that the felon is less bad than these men who you have decided randomly, arbitrarily, are just as bad as, I don't know, Nazis and want to like steal your uterus or something. With the uterus stealing, we're talking about a different group of men. I hate explaining jokes, but I'm talking about the It's weird because despite liberal women...
Okay, pause this one so you can get a good look. Family Studies, source 2024 American Family Survey. Liberal women least likely to be completely satisfied with life. Percent women who report being completely satisfied with life ages 18 to 40. And this kind of makes sense. Because I don't see myself messing around with like a super right wing either, but at the very least I can actually have a solid conversation with somebody on the right. Which is weird because when I was a young kid, things was kind of flip flop. It kind of felt like you couldn't even talk with somebody conservative, but there's some kind of crazy sea change in like the past decade at least, or at the most I should say, where things slowly but surely starting to flip on the other side. Like Bill Maher says, like it's the Democrats becoming like the stuck up prudes. They're not the cool kids no more.
Desperately wanting someone who politically aligns, they report higher levels of dissatisfaction with life and dating. Wow, I can't imagine why. Let's draw some dead caterpillars on our face and go figure it out, Scoob. What are you doing? Hi, Liam. I got groomed yesterday and I'm a pretty boy now. You can't see him. He's a pretty boy now. All right, go away. Be gone from me, vile man. I also want to give props to men here because on a statistical front, and this has been demonstrated over and over, men are just less interested in someone's political views aligning with theirs. Not 100%, just really at all. And I think that's quite evolved, although other people would argue that's just because men will go after anything with a heartbeat. And maybe there's some truth to that too. I'm going to determine that it's because you guys are more interested in someone being nice and kind and lovely rather than who she votes for. Modern dating is really hard, and it's being made even harder by these insane, crazy women who are so fixated on finding somebody who has as extreme political opinions as them, whereas men are just out here like, I just want to find someone who's nice and normal. So maybe the women are doing you a favor then in that case. What I think is genuinely crazy here is that men seem to be on a quest to find someone to share their life with, and there's this massive cohort of women who won't even look their way. It doesn't matter if they're apolitical, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit right-wing, it doesn't matter if they're the most extreme right-wing. These women, these progressive women, view all men through the same lens and tar them with the exact same brush. Like I said before, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with wanting somebody who shares your core values, because like I said, it makes life a lot easier, it makes doing a bunch of things a lot easier, like child rearing and all that fun stuff. However, I think that having somebody with whom you disagree on a multitude of topics actually makes life really interesting, and it means that you can have discussions and debates and you can exchange ideas and grow with each other. If you think the exact same way about absolutely everything, I mean, personally, this is just me. You guys are welcome to disagree, but I don't think that's very fun. And coming back to the videos of the women who are asking, why won't men approach me? Well, why would a man take the risk of approaching a woman when there is a not a 0% chance that he is going to get chewed out because he doesn't align with her politically? There's obviously so much to this topic. There's always going to be so much to the topic of dating. And just to be clear, there are a lot of things that obviously we didn't talk about in this video that do revolve around men making dating equally as challenging, but that is a topic for another video. Nope, you guys are not faultless. We blame everybody equally on this channel. But when it comes to focusing on the women, I just have a few final thoughts that I want to leave you with. I asked one of my girlfriends who is a former leftist about this, and she is married with children, and I thought her insight would actually be quite interesting into the sort of thought processes going on here. And she told me that even when she was a leftist, her goal was still to get married and have a family, but that was separate from her political views, and more so she was just focused on having a loving family. But where she sees a big difference with the women of today is that many of them are rejecting family to quote unquote fight the patriarchy, to combat climate change, and to not have children, and thus continue ruining the world. And in her opinion, and I guess in mine as well, it's really, really bizarre. It is very weird to base the entire course of your own life on national politics and world politics. And I think if we're being real, thinking about relationships and love, and particularly men this way, is just making things so much harder than they need to be. It's making things so much crazier than they need to be. In the end, jeopardizing your own happiness because you continually overlook loving, kind men because they are not foaming progressive leftists is quite crazy. But as far as the men go, I have to think maybe these ladies are doing you a favor, and you are also all collectively dodging one giant bullet. Now, on that note, and before I open the floor to all...
Yeah, like I said, you shouldn't pay attention to what women say most of the time, because they say a lot of stuff, whatever that makes it sound good, because they want to be viewed in a angelic light. But deep down, they know what they want. They know what they're attracted to. They know innate, what they are drawn to when it comes to the opposite sex. They don't like to vocalize that. Most of them don't like to vocalize that because it doesn't fall in line with the whole feminist propaganda. They're like, they don't like the idea of watching movies that depicts a woman being saved by the man, because for the longest time, they like to be viewed as the woman being saved by the strong masculine man as they rescue them from this fire-breathing dragon. They like to vocalize, you should be the female wrestling the guy and slaying the dragon without, a man's help. It's not something girls innate think that it's something they want to be put in a position like that. A lot more ladies, there are some, but a lot more ladies need to start fighting back against this known little rhetoric they've been fed to for the past few decades, and it's just gotten too crazy. Because it's not something that guys can try, but we get labeled all these little buzzwords: insecure, who raised you, you must hate your mother, all this other stuff. That's why guys are too afraid to approach women, because we don't want our whole kingdom can be torn asunder for even an accusation of being labeled as a creep. And that is social is a social social danger. I was gonna go with that. It's not something that guys want to deal with, because there'll be a detriment at their livelihood potentially, even for an accusation. Guys do not want to deal with that. Girls don't never have to deal with something like that, because y'all rarely get accused of sexual misconduct. Very rarely you have to experience that. Very rarely you have to be the one to be labeled as a creep. A lot of you girls can touch and feel it on each other and not be get a cops called on you. Guys have to walk on eggshells just to approach a girl to say she got nice hair or something like that. We gotta worry about constantly how we approach a girl. Are we gonna approach her the right way? Are we gonna catch her on the right day? She's not on a period or something like that, and she might misconstrue a joke, which in the grand scheme of things is harmless, but she might be triggered, and now she's calling the bartender to get the bouncer to escort you out or something like that, because you just felt uncomfortable and not really in danger. That's something guys got to constantly think about, almost on a daily basis when you're interacting with the opposite sex. The whole social contract got uprooted. Okay? I'm not saying that there are guys that take things too far, but in a 9 times out of 10, guy sees a girl at the grocery store or at the bar or at the coffee shop. He innately sees a pretty girl. He innately wants to approach you. He walks up to you, introduces himself, compliments you. The ball is in the woman's court to receive that. And it's like, oh, he seems like a nice person. Let me have a few minutes of conversation with him and engage. But if she's spoken for or she's not interested, politely, let him down and say like, sorry, I'm not interested. You're a pleasant person. You're very sweet, but I'm sorry, I'm just not personally interested. Then, both parties, on normal basis, will just separate from there. But don't take the feeling of he might cross a certain boundary when he did not do. He actually has to do it to get confirmation this particular person is a creep. He actually has to constantly ignore your nose. He actually has to get in your personal space where you can be saying it's uncomfortable. He actually has to cross that bridge to give confirmation that, yeah, this particular guy is a creep. Now, all guys are creeps, but this particular guy is, because he did not acquiesce to your nose. But until then, you gotta take, like guys just want to have a normal interaction with you ladies, and not assuming he's just a degenerate until he actually proves it. It's like, oh, this is Jay. He's seems like a nice guy. And like I'm just gonna like smile like a normal person, engage with him a few minutes. Show my guard is down so he can feel comfortable, so we can have like a good conversation. And I might be surprised that he's very charming, and he's very sweet, he's kind of funny, and he asked me for a number. I'm gonna give him my actual number, not a fake one, and give this dude a chance because he seems very cordial, and I might have a good time, and might spring into a probably a loving relationship if things play correctly. You got to give that a chance. Don't assume every guy is bad, but you end up messing with the actual bad dudes and expect him to turn around and be your Prince Charming. It's just like you let certain these women just uproot the entire social dynamic, and guys ain't the one who made those changes. There's no men in this movement. There's no like icks or on these social media talking about like why can't I do that and stuff just like the girls do. Guys don't do any of that stuff. It's the women mostly the ones complain about every little thing and want to have their cake and eat it too. It's like, I'm sorry, it's like I don't like placating to this man versus woman thing, but it's mostly the women that been doing it. Y'all started it. We didn't started it. For the most part, guys been trying to like acquiesce to you girls' feelings when something's wrong. We are the main ones trying to fix it for you because we try to make you happy. But we come to learn that it's like it's very rarely that because girls want to pride their happiness above all else. It's fair to say that y'all can't find ways to be content. Can't have everything. At least not at once. But anyway, before I sign off, it's something I wanted to show off because I forgot to do that in a previous reaction video when I was talking about like, Will Smith. With the whole Akash thing. And I completely forgot to show off this video.
Hey, handsome. I just want to let you know.
Hold on. I gotta expand this. It's on like I reposted this on my Twitter, but this is something that guys find super attractive and what we rarely get from women nowadays. If she talks like this, there's no need to ask.
I just want to let you know, a little reminder that you deserve a woman who is going to pour life into you. Okay, you are going through things that you don't tell everybody, you don't talk about. You have survived things that you've told no one about. You deserve a woman in your life who speaks life into you and life into you only. You also deserve a love that you don't have to pay for. Ooh, I know I said it. You deserve a woman who respects you and sees the man that you are every day. You deserve to hear thank you. I love you. I respect you. I appreciate the way that you think. Thank you for continuing to wake up every day with strength. I don't know why we don't do that enough, but you deserve that. Have a great day.
Guys, that's all. For the most part, that's what guys want to hear. Just a reflection of some level of appreciation. It's just hey, I see you. You do a lot for me. You break your back at work for me, or you're burning the camera at both ends at the office for me to make sure we live a comfortable lifestyle. Unlike a woman like Akash's girl, or most of these girls out there in the dating field who is very entitled, they need to understand it's like, guys don't ask for much. What we ask for is just some level of respect, appreciation. Just like you girls prize like protection and provision above all else, we expect respect and appreciation. Because what we do for the most part are thankless jobs. By all metrics in society, both men and, well, mostly men and definitely women, we rarely get a thank you. It's just like, it's just like she says, speak life into the man. He goes day in, day out. And you would probably make a guy's day. But I say like, hey, I see you. I want to thank you. I'm not just going to throw you some booty and expect you to just see it as like a thank you or an apology. No, I want to say it so you can hear it, so you know that I acknowledge you. You are my man. You're a man, and I see you as such. And I want to make sure you know that. Guys, guys rarely get that. I argue if he does get that, it's probably on his deathbed. Or he's in a coffin or something like that. Long past where he can actually hear it. It's, for the most part, it's girls who has to tighten up. This isn't really... It's on some guys, not all guys. But for the most part, it's mostly the women who uprooted a lot of this crap. Anyway, it's already like an hour and a half at this point. Didn't mean the video to be this long, but because I had like a few points I had to stop and play and get my few points here and there. But I will see you guys next time for another video. Leave a comment below. Be respectful. Let me know what you guys think about this subject, and I will see you guys next time.